Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to take a look at a really special case from Riotoro. This is the CR100TG edition. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so today we're going to take a look at a case from Riotoro. This is part of the CR100 range. There are a couple of models available, all based on a similar chassis, but with modifications designed to suit different budgets. Now there is the CR100BE edition, which you can check out up here, which is the kind of entry-level machine, under £20 in most cases in the UK. Fantastic for starter builds. But if you want something a little bit more special and you want to have a little bit more style to your build, then this is going to be definitely worth a look. This is the CR100TG edition, so this is tempered glass, also features RGB, customizable as well, and it's got a lot of extra features that weren't really present on the original 100BE. So let's take a look at it, go through it, and we'll take it apart, see what's good, what's not, and at the end I'll give you my final thoughts. So first of all, to start with, this one, if I haven't mentioned already, I'm not sure if I did. This one comes in around about £35 in the UK, or just under in some cases, from the likes of CCL. You can get it on Amazon, etc, etc. I will put some affiliate links in the bottom, so if you want to check out for yourself the local pricing, please feel free to do so. But I think for £35, this is actually phenomenal value for money. If you look at the market these days, most of the kind of decent tempered glass cases, you're looking around about £40 to £50. Sometimes a little bit more, but this actually ticks a lot of boxes, does a lot of the right things, but for £35, that is, I still can't get over how they've managed to do it. Riotoro, if they're going to keep the pricing structure like this for this particular case, I think they're going to make waves in the industry. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's take a look at the case itself. So first of all, this front panel, which I particularly like. Now you're not getting the full gist of this at the moment because I haven't got a power supply and not a PC in there, so you can't see it. But this center section here it almost looks like an LCD display. So when you've got the RGB running, you can have this either a solid color, you can have it the flow, etc, which you're probably seeing now in some B-roll. But it absolutely looks amazing. It looks like it's like a digital screen which is active. It's just a fantastic look, and it totally belies the price of the machine. It looks like a fantastically expensive machine from this front panel. Speaking of which, the front panel is plastic with this kind of almost like a brushed aluminium type effect to it, and this front section here, it appears to be covered in glass. It could well be Perspex, but it certainly feels and looks like glass. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, that's enough about the front panel. For me, that ticks a lot of boxes. That looks absolutely amazing, especially with the color flow, which hopefully you've seen in B-roll. So moving around to the top section. So on the top, we've got an RGB button, which has actually been separated away from the rest of the control panel, which again is a fantastic design choice. So many cases these days have got the RGB button right next to the reset switch or something daft like that. It's just asking for something crazy to happen. You're in the middle of a game or you're trying to show off your lighting to your friends and you press the reset button. That sucks. So to have the RGB button here separately, again, fantastic decision. Moving up to the I/O, got a nice big round clicky power button. You've got your headset and microphone jacks in the normal places. You've got two USB 2.0 ports. You've got a USB 3.0 port. You've got your hard drive activity and your power LED. Also, you've got the reset switch, which is again far away from the rest of the control, so it's not going to be one of those things you accidentally press. Moving further back, we've got a space at the top here for two 120mm fans or a 240mm radiator if you wanted to. And also we've got the kind of almost de facto standard of the magnetic removable grille. So again, you can use that if you want to, you don't have to, but it will protect things from coming in. As you can see actually when I took it off, the spacing on the top here is massive holes. So that's going to give you tremendous airflow, but where there's airflow, there's also potential for ingress. So ideally you want to keep the filter on there to stop anything accidentally falling in and shorting out your motherboard components, which is not a good thing. So moving around to the side panel. So we've got this really nice dark smoke tint tempered glass, and it appears to be a 4mm panel, which is held on with these nice thumb screws. Again, for £35, this is an absolute steal. It is actually supporting ATX, micro ATX and ITX builds if you wanted to. So it isn't a cheap micro ATX case, which we do see from time to time. This is the real deal. This is full ATX, not extended ATX, unfortunately, because the way that some of the chassis has actually been stamped or printed, but certainly plenty of room in there for most ATX boards. So looking on the inside, we've got, again, plenty of room. There's punch outs. There's no basement here, so power supply wise, you're going to think a little bit more carefully about what power supply you put in here, because it is going to be relatively visible, even though this glass panel, like I said, is actually quite a dark tint. As you can see, there's quite a shade difference there, so it will hide some sins, which actually for cheaper builds can work out actually beneficial. So no basement on the bottom, but you do have a filtered intake. So if you want to put a PSU in there with the fan facing down, there is a filtered intake. Or alternatively, if you wanted to, because it's an open section, you could actually have the power supply with the fan mounted up. Again, if it's an RGB type unit, then maybe you do want to have it mounted up so it's visible from the outside, that kind of thing. Moving further forward, we've got this adjustable drive caddy, which will hold 3.5-inch drives. There doesn't seem to be an adapter to put 2.5-inch drives in there, so just 3.5-inch drives in there. And you could possibly, with a little bit of tweaking, maybe get 2 in there. I think essentially it's designed for 1, but 2 would work in there relatively well. So we've got a punch out here, a large rectangular punch out there for running cables through. Also, we've got some other punch outs here, so if you did choose to go with ITX or micro ATX, again, you can run the cables out through here or through here. It shouldn't have any problems at all. Would have been nice for the ATX boards to actually have seen another cutout maybe further along. But again, for £35, you can quite easily get involved with a little bit of modding and maybe cut your own. Moving further forward, we've got this nice front section, which is really nice and open. You can put in the front of here 3 120mm fans, 240mm radiator if you wanted to. There is a slight hindrance here, which is the kind of the old-fashioned 5.5-inch drive bay mounting, which may well get in the way if you wanted to put a 360 radiator in there. But I think, having said that, potentially you probably could put a 360 radiator in here. It isn't mentioned in the documentation for this case at all. It actually just says a 240mm. But actually, I think you could probably get a 360 in there with very few problems. So moving further around, again, we've got the remnants from the other case. So we've got the 5.25-inch mounting area here on the side, but you can also mount in here 2.5-inch drives, either SSDs or mechanical drives on this back plate, or you could have front mounted if you wanted to. Again, we've got 3 cutouts here, so you can run the wires through. So if you want your drives on show on this front section, you can do that, no problems at all. Got a nice big cutout on the CPU area, so access for custom fans or aftermarket cooling, nice and easy to get to all that. And all the edges seem to be really nicely done. There's no rough or jagged edges that are wanting to cut you to death. Looks absolutely fine. So that's it for the interior. Actually, of note, there is actually a pass-through at the top for your ATX power connector, for your CPU connector, although there does appear to be a little bit of a ledge there from the back of the case, so you may have to be a little bit more careful when actually putting that through. But when we do a full build in this, then we'll see if there's any issues there. We will be doing a full build in this in a follow-up video. So if you want to find out how that goes, obviously click on the subscribe button, click on the chime icon, and you'll be notified of future video releases. And you can see how this thing does with the full system in it. So let's move around to the rear now. So on the rear, we've got our 120mm fan spot, which actually does come with an included fan. Again, at this price, £35 or less. To have a fan included out of the box is actually really good, and there are some cases that still don't do that, so that is good. The fan itself is the Riotoro standard black edition fan, 3-pin on there for DC control. Also, there is a 4-pin Molex. If you're using a slightly cheaper setup and don't have any fan headers on your motherboard, you can just directly wire it to the Molex. Fan speed wise, this thing rates at about 1300 RPM at the top whack and around about 800 at the lowest point. So again, not overly noisy at the low point, and actually not that noisy at the high point, to be completely honest with you. Moving down slightly more, we've got our section for PCI Express expansion, and unfortunately these are all captive, so these are the ones you're going to have to wiggle to get out. The top one's already been taken out for you, so again, that's something you don't have to worry about. And we've got this kind of section here which hides all the kind of brackets and the screws, etc. That is just clipped in, so there's a plastic clip which spins out, and this is actually captive on here, so it's not going to get lost or go flying away or anything. So all you need to do is just push that into place and it snaps into position, which actually I would prefer this rather than having thumb screws or just a traditional screw. That's actually, yeah, it's quite a nice touch. I quite like that. So moving down to the bottom, we've got our section, like we said, for the power supply unit, which you can fit a power supply in there pretty much of unlimited length if you wanted to, depending on what drives you're putting in the front. Standard ATX size power supply, absolutely no problems at all with the additional hard drives in the front. Again, you can customize this, mod it however you want. Hey, even put like a big action figure in the front if you want to. The choice is entirely up to you. So let's take a look at the rear of the chassis. So the only thing, again, which I'm not overly keen on this particular design is this kind of bulging side panel for hiding your cable management. Cable management possibly will be an issue in this unless you're using relatively flat cables or a modular power supply. The panel itself is actually pretty rigid, so no problems there. And this takes us round to the back of the case. So again, we've got this massive cutout here for the CPU area, got this massive cutout here for putting your 4-pin or 8-pin, or maybe 8 plus 4-pin connectors up through the top here. All these cutouts, again, nicely rounded off. No rubber grommets, but no places of concern or issue. It's not going to cut you to shreds. No problems at all. Down this section, we've got these nicely blacked out cables for your I/O and your USB, etc., and also mounting areas for the 2.5-inch drives. Again, cable management might be slightly challenging in this area due to the close proximity of the case when it's on. But again, we'll see how that goes in the full build. Moving around to the bottom of the case, so we've got the usual kind of deal. So we've got 4 feet, which keep it raised off the deck by, I would say, probably about 1 inch. Rubberized feet as well to reduce vibrational noise, which is really good to see. And on the bottom we've got thumb screws, which we can then move the drive mounting cage. So if you've got a larger power supply, you can just slide this forward. Again, really nice little touch. Again, for a £35 case, I think this covers a lot of bases. We've got a removable filter here, dust filter for the power supply. Again, if you mount it face down, then this is going to filter. Alternatively, you can mount it the other way and not have to worry about cleaning that filter ever again. So pretty decent so far. So let's take off the front panel. So actually taking off this front panel, I've actually noticed that the Molex connector was actually for the RGB rather than for that fan on the back. So the fan on the back is only a 3-pin fan, no Molex on that, so I stand corrected on that section. But this is our front panel, so again, pretty much completely removable. So you've got Molex power to power the RGB control, the addressable RGB control, and also there is a fly lead which comes out, which appears to have a single pin. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that is for. There isn't actually anything in the instructions or the guide that say what that is for, but I would be pretty much guaranteed that that would actually be your data line. So if you wanted to add additional RGB to it, that would be the digital data. So potentially there's a way of actually making the RGB sync from here to other items inside the case. I'll try and find out from Riotoro what the deal is with that, and if I do find out, I'll put it in the video description below so you can check out for yourself. But I'm pretty sure that is what that is going to be. That is going to be a data connection to control additional RGB. So the front panel, like I said, is actually relatively lightweight, and you've got this really nice RGB section on the front. Ventilation cutouts on both sides to a little bit let some air in. There is no filtration on this other than those guides there. And another thing to see, which is quite nice, it's not going to take in any completely unfiltered air from this bottom section where you'd normally have your kind of grab handle. So that's been sealed up to the chassis really nicely. So that's going to minimize dust. The RGB section, the cover on it does actually stick out quite a bit and is in relatively close approximation to the fans, depending on how you mount them. So you may need to take that into consideration. But again, nothing you can't really work with, especially at this price point. So let's take another look at the front of the chassis now. Now we've got it sort of bare. So we've got these sections here for fan mountings, and these all look to be nice and strong. Again, this is really, really open. So we've got none of this mesh or anything covering it up. Literally completely open airflow. So whatever it takes in from the front is going to go straight through. There's no restrictions there, which for some is going to be a blessing. To others, you may want to see slightly more dust filtration. But again, this is a £35 tempered glass case with RGB that takes ATX motherboards. I don't think there's a lot you can complain about, to be completely honest with you. So moving around as well, we've got some other bits in our accessories bag here, which we'll take a quick look at. So we've got the cables, nice and easy to use, no problems at all. Got USB 3.0, USB 2.0, and our HD audio. Also, we've got the color-coded section for connecting up to your motherboard I/O, so reset, power switch, all that kind of stuff. nice to see. And we get a bag with some standoffs, brass standoffs, and black coloured screws to keep those nice and neat looking. And also we've got a couple of fan mounting areas. I'm not too sure where these go. I would imagine these are going to be for the top. So in the top section you can actually mount this and mount a single fan. So we've got these brackets here, so you can mount a fan to it, or maybe something else. I'm not too sure. Again, there's nothing in the instruction manual to actually tell me what these are, so if I find out what they are, I will let you know. But I would imagine they're going to be fan mounting brackets to reduce the size on the top to a single fan if you wanted to. Yeah, that actually does make sense, because the mounting area at the top, you could put a fan in the middle if you wanted, but there isn't the mounting poles because we've got these really big cutouts on the top. So that would be to centralise a fan in that top section. Or maybe you could centralise a fan in the front somehow, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's for the area in the roof. So there we go. Yeah, a lot to like about this. I am slightly concerned, if anything, about the cable management at the rear, running that cable through to the top for the supplementary power for the CPU. Potentially with fatter cables that could potentially be an issue, but hopefully it shouldn't be too bad at all. But everything else looks the real deal. So removable hard drive cage, nice open front, included fan, plenty of room to work with, and plenty of options to modify. But other than that, I think it looks fantastic. The real star of the show is definitely this RGB front panel, which from the B-roll which you're seeing, you would have seen what it looks like. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and I don't think the video will actually do it justice. It looks and feels like a proper LCD display, which would cost a considerable amount of money to actually put into a case. So to get that look somehow using just regular RGB and some clever engineering, I think they've done fantastic there. So there you go, that has been the Riotoro CR100TG. I hope you like it. If you did, let me know in the comments section if there's anything you'd like to see put in here or tested. Again, let us know in the comments and we'll see what we can do. But in the meantime, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.